Lukewarm Ti. And fam, it turns out that relationship genius Derrick Jaxn got busted cheating again. Oh my god, I am so surprised, I can't believe it. Jaxn, here he go, a male whom I only came to know because he got busted in a different cheating scandal just last year. Well, the streets were talking again about continued cheatations recently, only for him to then announce last week that he and his wife Danae are divorcing. I don't even know how to unpack choosing this photo for your divorce announcement, but what else should we expect from a guy who's been moving mad since day none? Maybe, just maybe, we need to agree as a collective to hang it up with these relationship gurus. Happy Festivus, y'all. It is T, nappy-headed jojoba, not nappy, not jojoba, nappy-headed jojoba. You have to say the whole thing. It's like a very Harold and Kumar Christmas. Now, I just did a video about cheaters recently, and a lot of my thoughts and observations from that talk are transferable on today. Like how I'm seeing a lot of conversation that is painting not only the divorce itself, but Derrick Jaxn's serial cheating as some sort of failure on Danae. You know, the patriarchal urge to frame a man's infidelity as his partner's shortcoming. As I said, I was introduced to these people because of his last cheating scandal. Even without knowing much about them or their history, it's easy to clock the misogyny in these comment sections. Hopefully, she'll use the financial stability from taking dirty Jaxn to the cleaners for child and spousal support to get herself on the path to intensive healing and self-care, because self-care sometimes means the stuff we don't want to do, from decluttering our physical and mental spaces, to eating healthfully, exercising, and to doing that emotional excavation where you know you finna ugly cry. But to be clear, self-care can and should also include enjoyable things like taking a nap or getting a pedicure or treating yourself to a new perfume, which is easy to do with today's sponsor, Scentbird, a monthly subscription box for fragrance. Some of y'all remember that I've mentioned Scentbird a couple times before, and I've also mentioned before that part of my nighttime self-care routine is to spritz on some lovely perfume after my bedtime shower, purely to pamper myself and feel luxurious on my sheets from Costco. For this go around, I got Clinique's Happy Heart, which I chose because Clinique Happy is such a classic fragrance that I really remember loving in the past, so I wanted to see what the sequel was all about. Scentbird also surprised me with Paper by Commodity, which has notes of amber and musk, which I'm really excited about. And in 22, I discovered that I freaking love amber. Lastly, they sent me Lust in Paradise, which has a spicy, fruity, peony profile. Click the link in the D-box and use my code for 55% off your first month at Scentbird, which works out to be about $8. I earn $0 in commission if you use my code. It just lets them know that I sent you. And one last thing, Scentbird is also now available in Canada. I do feel badly for Danae, but it also becomes harder to defend someone who just posted this video a couple of weeks ago.
May the mercies of God be withdrawn from you. May your husbands and wives become widows. Let your children become fatherless. Let your seed become vagabonds on the earth.
I mean, damn. As you can imagine, after that, plenty of people were/are gloating and holding that up as her getting what's coming to her now that the divorce has been announced. I'm sure she has had to deal with an unimaginable amount of unwanted commentary, humiliation, and public ridicule for her husband's actions, but this is where getting off social media has to come in, sis. It's hard to root for someone who's dead-ass cursing people's children in the same breath she's calling herself a Christian. Then again, that's not exactly atypical. Anyway, she seems very obviously not okay to me. Just taking a quick glance at her Instagram page let me know that she needs to get the hell off of Instagram and social media and heal. I am not on the Clock app. It's a lifestyle choice, but sometimes things transcend the app of their origin and wind up in my internet wanderings. A few weeks ago, this clip was going viral, whatever that means nowadays, of a girl in the UK going to get a texture release on her 4C hair. I don't know what the hell is going on across the pond, but that stylist, I'll just say that her work speaks for itself. Also, what in Hades is a texture release? Because it sounds like you just got a perm, babes, a relaxer, maybe a Texlax, which would make whatever a texture release is consistent with some of the other f***ery I've been seeing lately. Folks are running the okey doke and doing old and calling it by a new name and then charging insane prices for it. Just this past summer, I kept seeing videos recommended in my feed of black girls getting a Karen curl or some shit, which just turned out to be a white woman doing rebranded Jerry curls and charging $800 for it. The Emperor's New Perm, for real. This TikTok video irked me though, and by no means am I picking specifically on the girl who posted it. It's just that it relates to a bigger issue that's been sticking in my craw. I've been clocking something for a long time, and that's that people will often classify their hair as 4C when their hair is just dry, damaged, run amok. Is your hair 4C or do you just not like it? I don't think this is necessarily the case with the girl in that TikTok video. Frankly, it's neither here nor there because I'm not the hair police and I honestly don't care if her hair in particular is or is not 4C. That is not my big point right now. My point is this phenomenon of videos of people saying things like, watch me transform my 4C hair, always with the implication, the undercurrent that the after is giving and better and that things are now fixed now that they've completely altered the texture of their hair. Y'all see where I'm taking this? Content and attitudes like this perpetuate the false equivalency of difficult, unmanageable, ugly hair with always being 4C hair. This is what irks me. It continues to portray 4C as a synonym for bad. Because even though I rarely even watch hair content nowadays, I still see this all the time and it's nothing new. The fact that this isn't new and that it isn't improving with time, this is why I had to divest from the hair community, YouTube fam. It's like in these internet streets, as soon as someone doesn't like their hair and they're overwhelmed because again, they probably aren't looking after it properly, it's watch me transform my 4C hair. Meanwhile, I can't tell you how many times I've seen someone label their 4C and the C was for catfish. On one side, we have people clickbaiting with 4C maliciously when they know their hair isn't 4C. Then we also have to deal with the genuinely clueless folks out here all woe is me about their 4C hair when their hair isn't even 4C, it's just ashy. 4C doesn't mean busted or unmanageable. 4C connotes a size of coils within the spectrum of type 4 kinky hair. That's it. Considering that 4C hair was excluded from that dumbass hair chart to begin with, those of us with this texture, we basically had to classify our hair type ourselves, and 4C was our way of acknowledging that there are a ton of us whose coils and kinks are tighter than that of a 4A or a 4B. And there are a ton of us who put in the effort and time to learn what works and what doesn't. And we're doing fine. It's really not that serious once you figure your shit out. I'm just really tired of people still talking about this hair texture as the definition of undesirable and in need of transformation. 4C hair is something that needs to be dealt with. If you want a perm because you can't be bothered with caring for your hair the way it grows out of your head, then just say that. I have a lot more thoughts on the state of the so-called natural hair community. I'm 10 years in the game on YouTube and a good 4 or 5 years out of the game of making hair content with any regularity. So maybe I'll dig deeper into that in its own video. I don't know though, because hair content didn't perform for me, which is why I moved to doing it exclusively on my Patreon instead. So if you do like that sort of thing, the link to my Patreon is always in the D box. Moving into some ice cold by now, positively frozen tea. Turns out that Liver King guy was sauced out of his gourd the entire time. Oh my god, I am so surprised, I can't believe it. Some of y'all OGs know that I'm pretty into fitness and things like such as, and I even used to do content about that here on YouTube. So I've been at least peripherally aware of the liver fraud, aka the Liar King, whatever you want to call him, for a few months now. And as someone who is also peripherally aware of the prevalence and typical presentation of physiques achieved with performance-enhancing drugs, steroids, it never crossed my mind that man's was not on gear. Didn't care too much about it and honestly didn't think there was much of a debate about this. However, while I was traveling out of the country a week or two ago, I happened to see in my subscription feed an hour-long expose pop up from Derrick, better known in these YouTube streets as More Plates, More Dates. He collabed with Zach Tellender. I am also subscribed to Zach, and definitely check out Zach's channel if you're interested in Olympic weightlifting. Cut to 2 or 3 weeks later, and lo and behold, Derrick and Zach created an entire subgenre of YouTube with this video. The number of reactions to this video and reactions to reactions and podcasts with panel discussions, rating reactions, these have generated more AdSense coin than the Amberlynn Reid commentary economy. The Grifter King's feet have been held to the fire not merely for being on thousands of dollars worth of PEDs per month, but primarily because he insisted that he was natural this whole time and had achieved his physique through his lifestyle of using his line of supplements and following 9 ancestral tenets. Which, by the way, I'm becoming slightly homicidal from how many people I hear saying ancestral tenants. We are not talking about some Neanderthals renting a 2-bedroom in Valley Village, y'all. Moving swiftly along, Liver Fraud kind of laid low for the first couple of days after the expose went up, but to my surprise, he did cop to lying about being natural in an apology video, and here's a clip of that.
Succotash.
Are you kidding me? Well, do we have the real clip? That's not the right clip. No, that's not the actual clip. Anyway, Liver Liar is sorry. It has been really interesting to me to watch all of this play out since, as I mentioned, I watched More Plates, More Dates video within the first couple of hours of it going up, and I was certain that it was going to be taken down. I even screenshotted it in my feed just like as a souvenir so that I could say I was there before it had poofed. But at the time that I am filming this, Derrick's video has not vanished, and I can't see why it would at this point since Liver Charlatan spun his adpology into more marketing for his supplements and what a great guy he is who cares so much that he did all them steroids for you because he just knew that him being roided out of his mind would save you from unaliving yourself. And he's already moved on to new lies about how he now is going to go completely natural, like no HRT, no nothing. I would say that this is a wild plan, but it isn't even true, so who cares? The most striking thing to me about all of this was just how not careful Derrick's video was about how he was revealing what is arguably confidential infos, from the emails that were leaked to him by apparently Vigorous Steve to the emails that were actually sent to Derrick directly from Liver Fraud and his team. Maybe things work differently up in Canada. I don't know. Maybe there wouldn't necessarily be HIPAA type protections in place since none of these guys are medical professionals, but still, I don't think I heard the word allegedly once in that whole video. Liar King is a rich guy and he likes to remind people of this often, which means he likely could have gone the route of having lawyers issue a cease and desist, possibly even sue for defamation. Who knows, perhaps maybe he just didn't think it was worth it? I'm honestly surprised, but I was genuinely worried for Derrick because I was flabbergasted at the lack of covering his ass with that video. Zach seemed pretty protected to me in his portion because he was speaking more generally and just setting the framework for the why of the whole expose on the liver mail that follows in Derrick's part. I think it is fair to say that some folks may not have understood why exposing that guy as a liar actually mattered. Point is, I realized that there is almost zero crossover between the Nat fam and the people who are aware of this entire situation. So I felt like I needed to give a lot of backstory here. I'll link the More Plates, More Dates video in the D box so you can see it for yourself, because in all the commentary that I've seen, I haven't really heard anyone ask how and why more care wasn't taken on Derrick's part to protect himself. People have been sued for far less. I mean, I'm glad he did the video, but I'm more glad that it seems that despite what seems like a somewhat cavalier attitude to caveating all of the information and documents presented as pure speculation, at least it seems at the moment that the Liar King isn't necessarily the litigious king, because had it been me, I would have peppered every one of my sentences with like 3, 4, 5 allegedlys. Okay, fam, that is a wrap for this Lukewarm Ti. You already know you are a real one for sticking with me all the way to the end, and especially for indulging me in talking about 2 charlatans for the price of 1 today with Derrick Jaxn and the Liar King. 3 if we want to count the hairdresser in that girl's video. Woo chile. But that is going to do it for this one. I hope that you have everything you need and most of the things you want in 2023. And I'll ask that you stay safe, stay dangerous, And never trust anyone who tells you that he did 10 bands worth of HGH per month to help you not be depressed. Bye.
That's a nappy-headed hose there, I'm going to tell you that now.
Yes, I've done steroids. And yes, I'm on steroids